You're welcome on Black Hot Fire Network. Good evening from Africa, Maria, Uganda. Today we're talking about the issue that is in Sudan. Now, we all know that there has been an armed conflict between rival factions of the military government of Sudan. And of course, this began on the 15th of April of this year. And it started when clashes broke out in Western Sudan in the capital city of Khartoum and the Darfur region. As for the 25th April, at least 559 people have been killed and more than 4,000 others have been injured in this Sudan war. Now, we all know Sudan has been going through a lot of conflicts for quite some time. But now that we all thought that Sudan is at peace, it is very, very appalling that Sudan is experiencing this war. Now, the fight began with attacks by the paramilitaries, Rapid Support Forces, what they call the RSF, on key government sites. Airstrikes, artilleries, and gunfire were reported across Sudan, including Khartoum. As of the 23rd April 2023, both the RSF leader Mohammed Hamid Dagalo, of course, that's the leader of Sudan now, Dagalo, and Sudanese de facto leader and the army chief Abdel Fattah. Now we all know, everyone is talking about the situation in Sudan and for the fact of these two people being Muslims are all leaders. Before that, we used to have issues. That's how we are going around in Sudan. Like, okay, why do we have conflicts over there now that Southern Sudan has, has broken away from the major Sudan? That's the main Sudan. Um, First of all, we always had conflict theories. Like, could it be that these other people in the southern Sudan are dark skinned and some of them are Christians, and those others in the other part of Sudan, of course, are Arab people, and most of them are Muslims. Yeah, we know there are some others who are not Muslims still living in that part. But now, these two people who are having clashes, who are fighting, of course, both of them are Muslim. The army commander, and we also how these guys um, um, came into power. Now, the issue that is going on in Sudan has everything to do with religion conflict and also tribalism, unsatisfaction of another, and a feeling of unsatisfaction of another tribe being in power. Now that's the major cause. And with that, it transpires a lot of conflicts all over to both the civilians and those people in forces. Now, in Sudan today, a lot of death of civilians have been recorded actually, and some others are moving to find places where they can, rest and have peace, and that's in refugee camps and other places. And but still, the United Nations comes in and they're trying to give aid to the Sudanese people. Now, in Sudan, during the war that was going on all over Sudan, I remember there was a time that the government of Uganda came in and was like they're trying to send in their troops so that they can bring peace to Sudan. And still other Ugandans also started, working in Sudan, more especially when it came to trade and all that. So when the war broke up, the government of Uganda, of course, sent some, troops so that they can fetch the Ugandans in Sudan. We've seen a lot of people who have been working in Sudan dying. We've seen Indians. We've seen other, people from other countries like Zimbabwe, Malawi, Mozambique, and those other Kenya who've been working in Sudan actually calling for the attention of their government to come and rescue them. But the situation in Sudan wouldn't be something that would be so scaring if at all Africans would realize that we are one people. The basic and the major thing that is causing all this is, religious differences and also tribalism. Like I always say that it is very, very easy for we Africans to be, played, for fools, more especially if we still rely on tribalism and religion affiliations, like she doesn't belong to my religion, or somebody cannot do something right if that person is not of your religion, or this person cannot do anything right if this person does not speak my tribe. Now you can see the situation that is going on down in Sudan, where a lot of people have been killed and displaced, and of course, where the central bank has also been bombed. I have a friend of mine actually who reports on that side, so was sharing some pictures, and the situation in Sudan actually is so very, very hard. I don't know when we shall wake up to realize this, and when a lot of Africans will wake up to understand that our safety and our peace has got nothing to do with your tribe or whatever religion you feel. As long as we have the major and the main goal of unity and being together as the Black people now. Um, of course, we saw how the Southern Sudanese wanted to break away from Sudan, and then we know the minerals, like the minerals that have been discovered. So the Southern Sudanese had issues going on with, of course, the other northern part of Sudan, where a lot of people thought it is not supposed to break away from the main. I'm calling it the main because at that time, Southern Sudan had not broken away from the entire Sudan, so they were like one. But the people from the Southern Sudan were discriminated a lot because they were black, and they were not, mixed with the Arabs, and these people were Christians and all that. So they had issues going on. And even when it came to distribution of resources and also harvesting from the government never looked at them like people who needed its help, or people who needed, its care. Even in the parliament, they do not have a lot of people coming in from the southern part. So Sudan has been a country which has been having all these internal conflicts for quite some time. It has been dealing with a lot of rebels that have been affecting other countries. We all know it has also been dealing with a lot of anti-African countries, more especially those countries that do not want Africa to succeed. Because now these people, for them, they look at themselves like they're light skinned. Okay, I think they believe they're Arabs or something like that. So they don't take themselves as Africans, more especially those Arab Sudanese. And that United Nations has so very much camped in these people's bases, and we all know the guns that have been being supplied in Congo come from that side, because these people are playing along. It doesn't matter to them for the blacks to live happy, more especially in Africa. It doesn't matter whether they are killing people in Africa or not. All they do, they have to play along, and they've been doing this actually for quite some time. These very people, more especially from the northern parts, they do not recognize themselves as Africans. Now, a small group of those people who do recognize themselves as African are being isolated, actually. At times, you find in their parliament there is little that is being discussed, more especially when it comes to the development of the entire Sudan nation and the people. who are there. We talk about racism and segregation in the US, but there is a lot of racism and segregation when it comes to Sudan because there are two different skin colors. And those who are light, or the ones who feel that they are white, should I call it that way, because that's what they think, they don't see themselves as Africans. They look down on these other dark skinned people with whom they think, since they're Christians, they do not practice the same religion, they do not have right to, bear honor. The issue of these two generals clashing, and of course, bringing a very, very hot impact in the Sudan country, is that one of these generals actually, let me use an example of India. In India, there are those other people who are dark skinned and those other people who are light. Now, the same thing happens to Sudan. There are some Sudanese, forget about these other tall, dark skinned Sudanese. There are these other Sudanese who are a little bit, who have a little bit, dark texture in their body, and these people look at them like, I think, like they are crossbreed and maybe they are mixed. They do not give them the respect they deserve, more especially those ones who are very light. For them, they feel like, your mama went and laid with the others, so who is this? Like the way you see these other mixed children in the US, those who are mixed with both the whites and the blacks and how they are. But in Sudan, it is very rampant that most of those people are not respected. Now, the conflict that so all these things that have been going on all over, that has got clashes. Yeah, the major lead people are talking about is that these two generals do not, I mean, everyone wants to have power. Each of them wants to have, power. Each of them wants to have a piece of southern Sudan. I mean, sorry, Sudan as a country, and that they go ahead arguing about lots of issues, but this is not really that issue. These two people would have met and discussed about, how to run Sudan, but the problem these two people have is that they have racism and tribalism among them. When Southern Sudan was breaking away, it was breaking away because it did not feel that these other Sudanese were interested in it. It felt like it was being left out. The racism, the tribalism, everything was very high. So Southern Sudanese decided to break away and create their own country with the hope that they're going to have peace. And we all know what was inspiring the war, the pulling of robes. They want the resources, they want the oil wells and everything. But rather, they were being called barbaric animals simply because they were dark. So they broke away, and these other two generals fighting right now, people will talk about they are not, they are disagreeing. They do not believe in the same cause. One was a supporter of the previous president, who was, of course, forcefully pushed to step down and all that. But there is one major thing that they do not talk about, and that major thing is these other people do not believe that they're Africans. Now they have issues now. We have people in Sudan, of course, most of these people look like Arabs. They're white with that black hair and everything, even they behave like Arabs, they're Muslims. So there is another group of those people Muslims, and they're a little bit light, but they are not as light. Their complexion is not as light as others. So these people are the ones who are like called they are the ones who are like called what should I say, like they are called like let me they are like mixed. Okay, let me use that word. They are like, they feel like they are mixed. Now these are people who are segregated even in that place. We've seen this very issue actually happening even in India, where the Indians who are dark skinned are being segregated, they are being called ugly, they are being called a lot of sorts of things. And so people, you they feel out of place. And now this is something that is happening. When Southern Sudan was breaking away, it felt like they were being, discriminated and all that. And now after it broke away, there are still those other people who are not as dark as the Southern Sudanese, but they are not as light as the so-called these other Arab people from the north. So these people have been having clashes all the time. These other people thinking, you are not supposed to be here. This one is not supposed to be the minister. His skin complexion is not light. I mean, he must, he was born from haram, haram. His parent must have been a Christian, his mom or something like that. So these people have been going through a lot. And this is the major thing that they actually do not tell the media. So after that, these others who are not as light as those, I don't know how I can term that, they're not as light skinned as those others who think that they own the Sudanese part, of course, in disagreement with the Lord. And then they have one person who is ready and willing to stand out for them. Now, Sudan has actually been used as a harbor to harbor a lot of things. From the United Nations that have been harboring guns, that these guns have been transferred from that place to, of course, Congo to fight. The same thing, they were transferring guns to the northern part of Uganda for war. So these people have been supporting a lot of, civil conflicts all over Africa. And we've seen even a lot of some presidents, especially those who are Muslim presidents. We've seen the Nigerian president Buhari travel that side for their own deals and discussion. It is also speculated that these people would also still be in support of Boko Haram. We know Boko Harams are Muslims, so it has been a center of conflict. It has been a center of conflict boost, and of course, weapon harboring. So it has been so very easy for unite these other Bazungu countries to import guns and to Sudan, and Sudan has been, a point from where they were getting these guns to distribute down to these other African countries that they wish to be at war. Now, that's why there have been a lot of guns in Sudan, by the way. There have been a lot of guns in Sudan because the supply of guns in Sudan has been so very unprofessional, so very rampant. Everyone owned a gun, even in the southern part of Sudan, of course. Everything that has to do with Bazungu, they hardly follow up a lot of things. So these are people who are bringing guns down here, and Africans were having these guns at any time with the corruption rate. Somebody comes in, gives you a little money, you give them the gun, and that's how there has been a high rate of gun supply in Sudan, to the point that the southern Sudanese have also had a chance to have guns. That's why most of the southern Sudanese actually, whether you're a young child or not, you had access to a gun, because Sudan as a whole has been and is still, by the way, a port to where guns are brought. It is a point actually that the Bazungus or the Western countries use. So these people have very much, separated themselves away from Africa because they do not believe they're Africans, and everything that has been affecting Africa, they feel like it has got nothing to do with them. So that's why it has been easy for the Bazungu people to use this very country to hurt other African countries. The situation in Sudan is very appalling and very, um, is a pitiful one. I wouldn't wish for any country to go through. But we know this country has been going through a lot economical problems, inflation, and hunger, and all that. Now, although people think that there is a power struggle for a lot of years, even during the days of Omar Bashir, we knew there was a tug of war in Sudan and all that. They said that the generals are fighting for military control, political control, and protect their extensive business interests. Okay, but this goes beyond that. This goes beyond that. There is a lot of money that is being put in the situation that is in Sudan. We know that the Sudanese armed forces, of course, which are being led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the Rapid Support Force, which is, of course, the paramilitary group led by General Mohammed Ahmad Dangalo. And Ahmad Dangalo himself, for him, he calls himself a regional Sudanese. And he calls those others, people who just came in. So whenever he's having his discussions, he always quote some words. Will be like, you people just came by, you just came here, and all that. So you see that he tries to segregate those others from being Sudanese. That no matter how they keep saying they are Sudanese, this very man, the leader of the RSF, okay, the Rapid Support Forces, um, keeps on reminding them that they are not Africans, they are not Sudanese, they are not And that's why we've been having a lot of conflicts that have actually been going on all over Sudan. Now, before that, if you all remember the incident of Southern Sudan breaking away from this other, I want to call it the major, because Southern Sudan isn't that big. So the major Sudan, there are still some other people who were in support and those who felt like they should also be part. But these people were Dinka. They could not allow these other Sudanese to follow them and be part of them. Where they sat, and some of them were like, okay, when we were being segregated, we did not see. How are you? What is the topic of the show? Lando Winter is right in the house. Thank you very much, Lando, for coming through. We are talking about why there is war in Sudan. We are talking about the situation in Sudan. Um, for some days now, I've been receiving a lot of videos because I have one of my colleague who reports. He's a reporter, so he reports in war zone, and the condition down there is very, very appalling. A lot of people are dying now. Sudan being part of Africa, in being part of Africa, yet there are some other Sudanese who do not believe they're Africans. They believe they're Arabs or whatever they think they are. The issue in Sudan is not only about two generals fighting each other, but it's about, tribalism, religious disputes, the economical situation in Sudan. As Omar Bashir was, overthrown, there are still some other people who are not satisfied and they've never been satisfied. And in one way or another, there is still those others who still want to fight um, and remove, and cause an ease so that the current president can step down. So yeah, the situation in Sudan is based on tribalism and foolish religion. Uh-huh. This is what I've been talking about here. Now, most Sudan is a place where there is a lot minerals, a lot of wealth. If at all Sudan was to come together and realize the richness it has. And European Arabs are pushing this for the resources in the land, of course. Now, this is a comment from Lando. He's saying that the European Arabs are pushing this for the resources in the land. True. Now, there are other, these two, if you look at most of the articles, it's all about the two generals, having misunderstandings, fighting for power and control of a business and all that. This goes beyond that fight for power, business control, and everything to tribalism, to religious, disputes, unsatisfaction of the person in power. When the Dinka people, those are the people from the southern Sudan, when they broke away and they added themselves to the East African country at that time, they felt like they were being segregated because these other Sudanese were calling that the European uh, Arabs in Sudan were calling them barbaric and all sorts of things. So these people had a few representatives in the government. They had few people who were standing for them, so they had to fight so that they break away from Sudan. So yeah, Southern Sudan broke away, and now it is independent. And now the other people who had the cross, the mixed blood, who are not as light as the European Arabs who are in Sudan, are also being treated like shit over there. And actually, this is the major cause of this, because these other people who are mixed are not so staunch Arabs. They still there are some others who are Christian, some others are following other religion, and these European Arabs feel like these people are not supposed to. First of all, they call them sellouts. They call them evil. They call them a lot of names, and now these other people are richer than the European Arabs because they have ancestral they are ordained by their ancestral privileges. You find that behind their parents owned some resources and some great land where some oil holes are sitting, or and some others have oil wells. So most of these people, it is actually a larger population, and most of them are rich because um, even if their blood is mixed with these European Arabs who are in Sudan, they have names of their forefathers, which of course are African names. Of course, you can see the RSF leader who has another name, which is African. So you will realize that these other people who still feel like, you cannot be a Sudanese because you're a little bit dark. So for you, you cannot talk in parliament, you cannot lead a mosque, you cannot do what. So for them, since they have money, they feel like we have got the money, we can sponsor a war and we can fight you if you think this is your home. Now remember, before they were not noticing these people simply because there were some that these Dinka who are very extraordinarily different from these other two types of Sudanese. Now the concentration was very much on the Dinkas, that they did not really care about the Dinkas. The Dinka people actually even did not have houses. At that time, they had everything, they had the money. You'd find someone having a Range Rover and is parking it just outside a papyrus house, which is temporarily made simply because they do not have, the government cater for them and give them resources, and they do not have access to freedom and peace. So these people had the money and they had everything that would make them rich, but the government was sitting on them and not giving them that freedom to practice, settlements like others. So until they broke away. Now that they broke away, the government, now these very people are also realizing that, okay, now the very, very dark, tall, giant Dinkas are gone. How about these other people who are not so light? Where are they coming from? Why do they own? Why is it that they are owning some big shares in the bank? We can see that the central bank in Khartoum has also been put a place. So the major shareholders in banks, of course, are those mixed Arab and Dinka people. So their skin is not all that light as I think the way they want them to be. But these are people who are saying that we may have intermarriage with the Arabs, but our ancestors, our parents have been the original people down here. So that's why our skin is like this. That's why we've got the afro hair. So there is no way you're going to say that we do not belong here and we want, democracy, and we want to talk about who we are. We want positions in the parliament, but the government is saying there is no position for afro hair, Arab people. Why is your hair like that? You're supposed to have this kind of hair. Why are you like that? You're not supposed to. Yet they are the ones who are controlling the money because actually they are rich. And the European Arabs are pushing this for the resources in the land. There's a comment from Orlando. Ethnic conflictions between these confused Africans and the solely based, the mixed race nonsense organized by the European Arab racism. Exactly. So these people are still fighting. The mixed race are like, we come from here. My father was an ancestor down here, and that's why I have these documents showing that this is my land, this is that, and those other European Arabs are saying you cannot, and all that. So there is a lot of misunderstanding down. Race is the main politic between these two functions of Africa, like every other issue on the continent. True. you can see all the misunderstandings and the wars that is going on. A lot of people have died so far. Like 400 of them have been injured, and that's according to, I don't know, per now. The rate must have increased since the central bank in Khartoum, of course, being put ablaze, and some other people dying. We've seen, of course, these other MiGs trying to fight some Indians over. Some Indians have been killed, and the situation is very, very uh, hot over there. Now, majorly, um, Sudan, and this is going to be a very big issue. Like Lando is telling us that it's because of ethnic confusion, religious misunderstandings or disputes or conflicts, whatever. It's going to take a lot for Sudan to stand as one and have peace, because these other European Arabs in Sudan have never respected Black Africans who are in Africa. To the point that, like I've been telling you before, this place has been made as a center where Europeans bring weapons, and these weapons are being supplied into other African countries, so that they can support the war um, down in Congo, some northern parts of Uganda, of course, but that war ended, it's no longer there. I remember every Sudanese actually had guns. These people had guns, even young children had guns. So until the government tried to pick these guns from, because it was a center, the Bazungu used to bring their guns down to Sudan because they know there is that particular place where there are some European Arabs who don't believe they are Africans, who do not love the African people. So we are going to use them. We are going to train our rebels from there. We are going to train the Boko Harams who are torturing Nigeria from there. We are going to keep weapons that we are going to, for easy supply all over whichever country we want to, whichever country we want to have war, we are going to use them. So that we've been using this over for quite some time. Um, they train a lot of rebels who are against Africa development. These rebels who are against, every positivity. Those rebels who are in there for sellout. They train them from that place. So for them, they don't really care about what is going on in Africa. Until today, they also believe like they're not African and all that. So yeah, the original Sudanese was identified as Nubian in traditional African history. Now they are identified as Muslim. That the confusion. The original Sudanese, the Nubian people actually during war, most of them moved to some parts of Uganda. Most of them moved and they settled because when the European Arabs, when the Europeans came and they were fighting these or the Nubians, we still have them. And here in Uganda, we have the Nubian people. Actually, these people are, and most of them still practice the Islam. Some of them, because at that time they were forced to adapt the Muslim, so that I would really love to show you these people, but I don't know even where to start from. But we have these people. They're actually in a place called Bombo. It's where Idi Amin grew up from. I usually pass that place when I'm going to to my village. So these people are very dark skin. My God, their skin texture is very beautiful, very very beautiful. They have got white dental formula with very dark gums, and they still wrap their hair like the Nubian style. So there is a conflict that happened, and the majority of them ran and entered Uganda. Should I say when they entered? I think it is the European man who brought those boundaries, but they came down here, and some of them settle in a place called Bombo. There are very many there. There are very many there. Now, Orlando has given me something. So yeah, but we still call them the newbies. They've never dumped, they've never dumped that. They still call themselves the Nubian, and if they're identified by that name. So you, even if you read that place, they'll say, "Oh, you're going to the Nubian side," because they still carry themselves as the Nubian people. And yeah, and there's still some old people there. Robert Williams is right in the building. Robert Williams, you're welcome on Black Hot Fire Network. Yes, how are you doing? I hope you're doing good. You have three functions of Sudanese today: Nubian, Arab Sudanese, and European Arabs. The Nubians, actually, I don't think there are a lot of Nubians in Sudan now. I don't think there are a lot of Nubians in Sudan now, because most of them, are migrated because of some other conflicts. Those people have been fighting the original people for some time. Now they are trying to fight these other mixed people as well. So they've been fighting the original people for some time, that the Nubians even decided to leave. Hello, Maria. I'm family able to catch one of your live. I'm finally able. K Washington. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm finally able to catch one of your live. Yeah. Why? You've been trying to trace for me and you couldn't find me? Actually, last week I had issues, electricity. It's raining here, cats and dogs. It is but well, today we have the power. Our transformer has been reinstated, so I believe this whole week I'm gonna be, apart from maybe on Friday. Yeah, I think I will be. Though on Friday I'm having an exam, but I'll still come, because I think my exam is ending earlier before my time, so I will come. Yeah, thank you, K Washington. Chakabanange, Chino Chitale Chakeri. So Lando, from before, after these people entered in the in Sudan. Now I'm talking a lot about the southern part, but the entire Sudan. First of all, Sudan is very big. It's very big, and it is rich in resources, oil. Okay, it is rich. It has oil, some gold, some minerals. But so, and first of all, it is very big. Now, by the time the European Arabs came in, they so very much tried to make it unsettable place, unsuitable place for sorry for these other Africans who were in Sudan. We saw the Dinkas breaking away. We saw, even before the Dinkas broke away, we saw them trying to push the Nubians out of Sudan. They overtook the pyramids. I don't know what they thought they're going to do with the pyramids. Most of these Europeans are people who like, black magic a lot. And we know there are a lot of pyramids in Sudan. So these people try to find those places where there are pyramids, and they settled there. So they tried very much to make it, to push away the Nubian people who were living there. And of course, those pyramids were being taken care of by the Nubians, because they knew all the practices that were being carried out, those pyramids. So when I get the notification, you are almost off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why you get the notification late. I'm so sorry about that. I unwillingly trained the Muslim Sudanese and European Arabs to remove the original Nubian out of Sudan. Yeah. Sorry about that, but it's okay that you didn't know their mission. The Nubians moved actually. These people made it possible. They made it impossible for the Nubian people to settle. They were killing them barbarically. They were being killed. Um, the first war that they created in Sudan was against the Nubians. They made sure that they displaced these people. So most of them traveled to Uganda. Like I said, there is a place which is called Bombo. There are lots of Nubians there, very many. And there is one good thing about these people, they do not scatter. They do not scatter anyhow. When they find some place, they sit there. Because if you see that place, everywhere you move, they are Nubians, their town, they are Nubians. I don't know if they really intermarry because these people are still so original. If they did, they would be looking a little bit different, but that's something that I'm supposed to research about. They still look like the way I was told. When you look at them, the way they behave and everything, they still live communal, they still live socially, and they still practice the Nubian kind of style, except that some of them embraced the Islam religion. And this religion, according to what some of them say, it was imposed on them forcefully. They had to make them change from African style to Muslim. So that's why most of them, for you to be safe, you are supposed to convert. If you would refuse to convert, then no, you would get killed. So most of the Nubians actually converted to Islam, and most of them practice Islam. Okay, most of them practice Islam. Lando says Nubians do not intermarry. I guess you're right. I guess you're right because, but nowadays I think they're intermarrying. Because I know why. I don't know, but I think when Black Hot Fire Network grows, if I'm able to have the potential, I will take you there one day to, and then you can see these real people. Actually, they are so amazing. And for the fact that I know a little bit about their history, when I look at them, I'm so fascinated, and I'm like, wow. So these people are still here, and they're still like this, and actually they are. Intermarriages was forced by religion, I guess, but it is very hard to find them intermarrying. They're still, anyway, probably there are a lot of things I would love to show you, but well, whatever. Whenever we get time, I guess, I don't know, whenever we are able to bring you such kind of things, because it's always my pleasure. I love interviews, I love going out for field, but we do not have the potential yet because I still need equipment, I need microphones, and all stuff I don't have. But if I do, I guess one day I will take you down to the Nubian people. That's a good thing. Maria, you look like a Nubian. Lado, I know. Let's not touch that part. Let's not go there today. And God, man, you've been a lot. You. I'm the only Nubian who is not a Muslim. I'm the only Nubian who is not a Muslim, but yeah, I guess you're right. You're very, very, very observant. But anyway, oof, I don't like talking about me. Ooh, Baya, you haven't found microphones yet. That's what I keep on talking about. No, yeah. Let me first laugh a little. Yay, Lando, you're very observant. So, he was asking me if I've not found microphones yet. I did find microphones. I did find them, but you seem not to, you know, it's like you were not trusting these microphones, and probably maybe they were a little bit expensive. I don't know. But I found the microphones exactly like those ones you were showing me, but maybe they're a little bit costly. It's sad that's the Asian Kush Kingdom came Islamic. Yeah, and then these people are so very much trying so hard not to. First of all, they moved the Nubian people from Sudan, and force them to embrace Islamic religion, because we were supposed to turn into a Muslim for you to be safe, for your children's safety. You were supposed to embrace. Now the biggest problem is that for those who embraced Islamic religion, actually are still carried this till now, except that they still practice their Nubian culture, they still practice their Nubian ways, and though they still practice, Islamic. First of all, what makes this very staunch is that when they traveled, sorry, not even traveling, because when they were chased out of Sudan by these other now look at what kid this is talking about. Me, I'm working. No. Mm. So, what these other people did when they came, for them to be able to settle down here as the Nubian people, they also found that the Muslims had also those Arabs at that time who were forcing Islamic religion into Africa had already entered in Uganda as well. So all they had to do was to accept and become Muslims. And yes, down here, if you move to the Nubian area, you will still you you will still find them, and they are still good people. They are so traditional. By the way, I hardly see now, to tell you the truth, it is not about anything. I have never seen a Nubian having this extension hair, no matter how rich that person is. I've never seen it. I'll take you guys one day. I'll just follow them abrupt and I'll show you around the place. If you see anyone wearing a weave or what, you say, Maria, you lied. Never. There are people who still, um, I think they understand themselves, more, but the only bad part is about that religion thing, that the Nubian women are forced into concubine by the European Arabs if they don't accept our mother. Exactly. And that's how these other mixed children we are having right now fighting in Sudan came about, because their parents were ancestors in that place. These children have a right, some of them have documents, some of them have rights, their names follow the lineage of those rich Nubian people who were there. So that's why they are controlling the economy, and they have the money to start this war. And then they're saying, why not fight if we have the money? If we can facilitate the war, why don't we show these European Arabs that we are the Asian people here? They cannot discriminate us. We have rights. We are indigenous people and all that blah blah story that is going right now in Sudan, of course, where those others who claim that they understand the Sudan coming over to fight these other mix. Like, why are you not as light as we are? You're supposed to be part of those others who are chased out of Sudan. And the world is actually not talking about the real issue as to why it's only the two generals are clashing. The two generals, what the fuck with the two generals clashing now? They're not talking about the real issue as to why these people are fighting. A lot of Nubians went into West Africa and created other kingdoms, like the Igbo of Nigeria and the Ashanti of Ghana. Both came from that Kush kingdom. There are lots of Nubian living in the east of Namibia. Exactly, those mulatto. That's why you should never make them anywhere in Africa, because they always work with the enemy of African people. Um, the Igbo people, I don't know. The Igbo people, you may be saying that they are mixed with the Nubians and all that, but I don't think. Besides, they say they are Israelites. That's not that topic. Igbo people say they are Israelites from Israel. They are is it? They're what? Hebrew Israelites. Yeah. There are some Igbo people who are short like this. Some others do not even have beards. And they say that they're indigenous Igbo people. And then these others who have, long beards, who in Nigeria, they say they are mixed with the Yorubas. And a lot, the tiny short ones like that, and how they say they're indigenous Igbos. Anyway, whatever. That is how disorganized Africa is. They think they are. So if they hear you saying that they come from the Kush kingdom, you may have wahala with them, because for them they believe they are not Africans, they are Israelites. They don't understand where Israel came from. I be looking at them and laughing, and how I say, what this? You cannot be exposing your stupidity anyhow. With their leader, is called who? Or misleading them in the name of we are not Africans. Now you are not Africans, but you're fighting for African soil. Childish. Oh God. Now, first of all, Sudan has supported a lot of wars. They supported a lot of conflict. Most of the Africans on the east of the continent are descendants of Nubian people. Hmm. Yeah, Lando. Oh, is my Wi-Fi open or what? It's most of the yeah. Now, well, but we do not see Africans. Most of Africans nowadays do not know their history. They don't know where they come from. They do not understand what they mean. They do not understand the power they possess. That's why we are seeing them going into conflicts every time, and a lot of people actually losing their lives like the situation in Sudan right now, if Africans knew, uh, all them what the Mzungu did here is, I know some other people will say, stop using that as an excuse. We have to wake up. Okay, this is what most people say. That you've been blaming the Bazungu for quite some time now. It is high time we put our shit together and understood this and all that. But they have left us very empty, both in the mind and also at hand. So it will take a lot. It will take a lot. First of all, we have a lot of mixed things: Uganda, Kenya, South Africa, etc., and Nubian descendants. Hmm. Then yeah, I guess you're right. But there is a lot now. There are a lot. I don't know what happens in the end. That even people don't look like Nubians anymore. I don't know what happened. Because people have lost all their features now. You just look at them and be like, are you a Nubian for real? Okay, so I guess because of a lot that has been going on all over Africa, but yeah, Nubian people have been the original people in Sudan, and they moved from Sudan because of various reasons, and those few who remain there still were kicked out, and still the very one who are there are still being harassed. If you still have a little blood of the Nubian, and they still torture you, because we have those European Arabs and the African Arab there. Now, the European Arabs want to overtake the entire place. They believe they own everything. And the African Arabs, who have the mixed blood of um, the Nubian and some other whatever tribe that they mix with, also is fighting like, we got to have peace. I mean, this is our place. You can see my name comes from my ancestors. So what are you talking about? So they are having clashes. They are fighting time and again. And because, of course, they are rich, they own a lot of land over there and resources. So for them, they feel like they have everything to fight for. That's why Al Jazeera will tell you people are fighting to secure their, businesses, to secure their wealth and all that. Because these people feel like they are the indigenous people and they own, this wealth, and these other intruders want to fight them and they want to claim what is not theirs. So the war that is happening in Sudan actually is about tribalism, religious dispute, and of course, fight for resources and power. Thank you very much for watching Black Hot Fire Network. Thank you so much, Lando Winter, for always making my show a very, very warm and interesting one for me. And I guess for the viewers as well. Thank you very much, Robert Williams. I saw you drop an hi. Thank you very much for dropping. I know you've been watching. I've not seen GB Jabba. I've not seen General Mosquito. I've not seen an second one. I've not seen Cesarius Williams. I've not seen Kay Williams. I've not seen Dwight Davidson. I've not seen Melanin. If I say popping, then Jerome Mosquito will come and drop in a comment like, Kay Washington being here, and the rest have actually not seen you guys, but I hope and believe that you'll either watch a replay or you're watching, but you're very busy. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting Black Hot Fire Network and always watching my shows. I'm so sorry. Last week I've not been constant. The situation down here hasn't been good, so I had to make sure that. Trying to find that shit out so I can tell what it's saying. Okay, Danny Harrison, damn, I'm late, was visit though. Wish I could have got in here earlier. Danny Harrison, thank you very much for dropping in that comment. I'm sorry that you're very late. I'm so sorry, but still, thank you very much for letting me know that you tried to watch my live. General Mosquito. I knew you are watching. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting and loving Black Hot Fire Network. Have a blessed week. It's a Monday here, and good night from Uganda, Kampala.